you have the intelligence, you have the due diligence, and you have all to make the process work for you. But let's be real for a second. If you're sitting in a room where nobody looks like you and you're wanting permission to speak, or you're asking for permission to speak, should you be doing that? If that's the case and you're feeling that way, you're already behind the power curve. And that's what scares a lot of people coming up. We don't want to be that person ever. Listen, this isn't about asking for favors. It's definitely not about outsmarting the chain of command. It's literally just making sure that your career serves your future as much as it serves the mission. Because if somebody else is driving your bus, I've said this before, you might not like the choices that are made as a result of it. Then you're just bitter, disgruntled, upset, and angry, and we ain't got time for that. So, no excuses now. Today, the ladies of the SCIIF International podcast will be breaking down exactly how to take the wheel from the U.S. military service woman's point of view. For those who don't know, you are tuned in to the SCIIF International podcast, everyone. Christian the Hype Man Sledge, Major Johnson, going on Lieutenant Colonel Johnson. She's everybody's sister in arms. And then, of course, we have the head and the course layer of all of this. We have the one woman crowd, always in style, Michaela Morante. Let's get right in it. Ladies, please do what you do best. You guys got it.
Before we get started, we want to thank our views. We know it's precious and you can be anywhere in the world doing anything right now, but you're with us for the next few minutes. You've heard us this far. We just ask that you hear us a little more and share our knowledge with everyone. Today, we're tackling a massive topic, one that I know people talk about in the dorms, in the big break rooms, maybe not enough out in the open. We're talking about advocacy, specifically how women do advocate for themselves when they're working in male dominated career fields, which, let's be honest, is still a huge chunk of the US military. And who else better to help break this down better than someone who has been in the game for a while? She's seen the changes, she's led the changes, and she's here to drop some serious knowledge. Little Ray, I know you're ready to teach.
Absolutely, Michaela. I'm so excited that we're having this conversation because the steps towards advocacy, our history of being advocates for ourselves did not just start. I mean, we can take it all the way back to 1948 when women were first allowed to enlist into the Air Force. And even then, it still took almost 30 years later until we were able to enter the Air Force at the same baseline, right? Equal to
Mm-hmm.
men. And even further than that, if we go to 1976, when we had the first female Air Force Academy cadets, and even closer to home for me is Virginia Military Institute. They didn't start accepting women until 1997 after a 95 Supreme Court case that told them they must start accepting women. And that is where my all-female cadet corps at Mary Baldwin, Go Squirrels, was birthed. So the road to advocacy has been long, but we are here. It's still a fight, but I'm glad we're having this conversation to really emphasize, yes, the landscape has changed, but the fundamental requirement for us to have our own space, it still matters, and that has not changed.
Let's get straight into it. So I'm just an A1C. When I look up, I see a lot of male leadership, especially within my own leadership, all males. And sometimes it feels like if I speak up for myself, it's going to be taken the wrong way. So the big question is, how do we advocate for ourselves without looking like we're just complaining?
Yep, I can totally relate with you. I've been in 15 years. The majority of my commanders have been men. I was fortunate enough that my very first squadron commander was a woman. And so I felt empowered from that moment on. But I definitely can relate to going into your boss's office and not wanting to feel like you're complaining, whether you're trying to advocate for yourself to reduced hours because you're in your third trimester of your pregnancy, or you're making sure you're being treated fairly in comparison to your male counterparts and not automatically being sized up as soon as you walk into the door because you're a woman. And then for us being a double minority on top of that. So I really think it starts with your performance, excelling the standard, not just meeting the standard, but excelling the standard, being a subject matter expert, all of these parts that speak about you before you even enter a room, because nobody can question, nobody can doubt you when it comes to that performance piece.
Being good at your job, being better than good at your job is the first step to advocacy.
Absolutely. It goes back to how do you operate, whether it's on the flight line, in your office, in the missile field, how do you demonstrate that high performance and technical competence? You have to make sure all of that speaks for you before you even enter a room. Don't just be good at what you do, be great at what you do because it's going to help you in the future when you want to advocate for yourself for those various opportunities. You also have to remember that your competence effectively silences those doubters because they can't question. They can't question your performance when it's right there on paper saying Lieutenant Colonel Johnson did X, Y, and Z or saved X amount of dollars for during this project. And so it
Mhm.
definitely matters for having those performance factors already laid out.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, both you ladies, based on your experience, why is it do you guys have that feeling where trying to be the best is inhibiting? Do you guys feel some kind of way by saying I want to be the best, and does that get taken the wrong way?
Yes. And sometimes it's not even like to other men, it's with the other women too. Sometimes trying to be the best of the best doesn't come across the right way. Um, Especially when you're good. I try to be the best of the best. I try and volunteer for things, get my name out there, and sometimes people don't like that. And I've had men in my corner be like, "Yeah, you're doing amazing. Like you keep rocking it." And then I've had like women be like, "You need to calm down. Like no
Right.
one cares." And that's the hardest part because I'm just like as a woman, y'all should be helping me out. Why is another man supporting me more than you? That's
Yep.
crazy to me.
Yeah, that's crazy to me as well. I've seen that, like whether you think about it in the military, outside of the military, women advocacy being destroyed by women is crazy. Like that's what to me does the most damage. If women are
Mhm.
trying to take 2 or 3 steps forward, it's that fact that like it's going to be automatically intuitive that some men are going to have some issues with that. That makes sense
Mhm.
and that's expected. What's not expected, outside looking in, is the same gender jacking up the advocacy of the same gender. To me, that would hurt me more than anything else. That hurts so much. So I know how it is being on my side of the demographics when I'm trying to advocate for something and somebody who looks like me is going against where I'm trying to go. Well, move the hell out of the way because I'm still
Right.
going.
Right.
But I can only imagine that's how that feels over there where it's like somebody that looks like you is telling you to take a back row because you're going too far in their opinion.
Absolutely. Whenever I go into a meeting, I have the tendency to over prepare. I think my toxic trait is I feel the need to be perfect at all times. I want to know everything so I can be able to answer all the questions, even though I tell my mentees, you don't always have to have the answer. And so, because of that over preparation, of being able to speak to different topics, I've been accused of being too rigid, too planning oriented. Sometimes it's a blessing and a curse. I'm very much a people person. I love taking care of the people because you take care of the people, then the mission is taken care of. But then I'm told
Mhm.
she's too people oriented or she's too nice or why are you always cheerful? Why can't
Mhm.
we turn around and make these traits positive and work for the greater good of our Air Force? So it's definitely something that challenges that we face for sure.
I can't stand to see that. That really really bugs me. I was like, look, I'm gonna tell you right now, Case, you being the youngest one. I'm sure your
Mhm.
mom and your dad and everybody has already said this. You can't satisfy everybody.
That's true.
You
Mhm.
cannot make them happy. Even the ones that have your same, gender or sex, you can't make them happy. And what it might be something internally going on inside them that makes them say something like that to you.
Uh-huh.
But to me, it's a lot of audacity. That's a lot of audacity to tell me to turn it down. Turn it down for what? I'm trying to advocate for myself and for people who are behind me to get something done. And for you to tell me to
Mhm.
turn it down for what? What? Because it makes somebody feel uncomfortable that we're talking about the right things?
Mhm.
What is so wrong with asking for, I don't know, I'm just making this up, like a couch for your bathroom because sometimes you guys are just feeling some kind of way. Like,
Yes.
what is wrong with
Mhm.
that? Like, but somebody will tell you who looks just like you, who experiences the same thing you experience to tell you to calm down. Yep, I don't care for that. But I've seen that before, and it's like that must cause a great amount of damage to the cause. I wouldn't know, but I kind of feel what that feels like.
It
That's just sad.
definitely does. On that same topic though, Lorraine, what is something women are expected to tolerate that they shouldn't have to?
I don't know why, but my mind goes to inappropriate jokes or comments in the workplace, or being able to balance the workplace and motherhood without, I don't want to use the word complaint, but without issue. We're just supposed to figure it out. Figure it out.
Mm.
No support, just figure it out. You decided to have kids. Well, you're also here in this job. I'm thankful that I've had leadership that has been supportive and flexible, but not everyone has that. If we look back and we think about that foundation of advocacy, we have to look back at the women who helped pave that path for us, that we can look to for wisdom, that we can be inspired by. I mean, and we're going to talk about it, get into it later, but this is why mentorship matters, because it helps us to be able to advocate in rooms before we even step in. It helps us to be able to approach and respond to certain situations. And so just throwing out a couple of my mentors out there who did pave their own path, who did not act nicely, who advocated for themselves, who advocated for other people. Colonel Stephanie Q. Wilson, retired Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Weatherly, Major Jocelyn Bly, Major Charlotte Holyfield. These are all women who have advocated and will continue to advocate for each other, and who had those positive attitudes, who are extra and deserve to be extra, and don't
Mm-hmm.
apologize for being who they are.
I feel like sometimes women feel the pressure to be 110%, but only get 95 to 100% of that credit. Am I crazy? Is that just in our heads?
No, not at
Mm.
all. Not at all. So when we talk about being at 110%, like let's say that I found this really awesome TDY that I want to go to. Let's say it's the Women's Symposium in DC, but I feel like I need to have all my ducks in a row. I need to feel like my performance, my attitude, my work ethic, everything is at 110%. But do you think that our male counterparts operate in that same way? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They go
Yeah.
in with maybe like 65, 70% confidence, and they're like, yep, so this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. This is my next assignment. Not really giving a care in the world about all the other factors that are taking up all this space in our minds. So yes, it is undue pressure that we put on ourselves subconsciously and sometimes consciously as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that pressure definitely does exist every day. Again, 15 years in, and I still experience it.
Let's dig down into why, because a lot of people don't understand why that pressure is on them. They know it's there, or they don't know it's there, but they know they have to perform no matter what. I want to talk about why that you guys feel that way. Let's talk about the baseline of the military. The baseline of military demographically is one thing, and if you are not on that baseline, then guess what? You are looked at
Mm-hmm.
differently when you step into that room. Let's get it all the way straight. It is true. Okay. Kayla, when you step into that room, first of all, you're in that room because you're supposed to be in that room,
Come on.
right? Now, when you get up in that room, you need to understand the reason why you feel like you had to be over prepared for that. I'm going to tell you that right now. The reason why is because you are held as a representative. You have to represent people who look like you, people who are going to be behind you. You cannot be looked at like, oh, we let this female up in here and
Mm-hmm.
this how they all are. I'm sure you are afraid. Most people are afraid of being judged or being misrepresented or not representing their whole entire community, which there is no burden that you have to do that. There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
in the AFIs, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you represent all these people you're setting the precedence for. Nothing says that. But you know internally it's there because some people are like that. Some people will literally say, that's what happens when you let women up in the
Yep.
office. That's what see
Too
what happened?
emotional, too aggressive.
See? Yep, there she is,
Yeah.
too sassy, but all you're doing is advocating for what you want, what you need. I came in prepared. That's not my problem that you didn't come in prepared and you feel smaller. Come in prepared. That's why people feel the way that they feel. Because I feel that way too for my own personal reasons. But I know for a fact, one, you belong in there. Two, you come in over prepared because you are representing whether you like it or not. You got to do it. So it
Mm-hmm.
is what it is, even though you have not been charged to do it. All you've been charged is do excellence is all you do. That's what you've been charged.
Mm.
But you're doing so much more for so many more people currently. you're representing people after you and people who have already been in your shoes. You cannot
Mm,
misrepresent them. So that's why a lot of people put that on their shoulders and they don't even know why I put it on my show. I don't even know why I put this on
mm.
my show. Why do I take this pressure? Because you're representing, period.
Okay. And so how do I go from working hard to advocating hard though?
You have to stop waiting. So earlier in the introduction, Hype talked about waiting for a seat at the table or waiting to be asked. You have to stop waiting to be asked. You are a leader. Take initiative and realize that you have to take the reins. So, this happens a lot with young airmen, young CGOs. We think that keeping our head down, working hard, someone will eventually notice me, someone will eventually select me for a
Hmm.
TDY, or think
Mm-hmm.
that I'm great for this opportunity. Honey, that's a bunch of crap. Because let me tell you something. This is not a
That's so
case
real.
of nepotism. This isn't your father's farm or your mother's Fortune 500 company. And sometimes the good guys do finish last. Quote, I believe, was it Susan B. Anthony that said, well behaved women rarely make history?
Mm.
Mm,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely
Come on
accurate.
yeah.
now. And so we have to think about that. Now, I'm not saying that it's a dog eat dog world either, though it sometimes can feel like that. But you cannot be scared to go after what you want and what you need to get after it. You have to advocate yourself. Be direct. Take
Mm-hmm.
initiative. Be clear in what it is you want. I think we're
Mm-hmm.
going to talk about it a little bit later, but when it comes to working hard and advocating, you are not saying, oh, well, I feel like I'm right for this TDY. No, I
Yeah.
intend to
Mm,
learn X, Y, and Z from Miss TDY and bring back these nuggets of wisdom for my peers. We have to be intentional.
mm-hmm.
Nobody, especially as I read through women's history in the Air Force, Space Force, United States military, all these ladies who did astronomical things, whether it was the first general officer, first pilot, or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
they didn't ask. They didn't ask for permission to be that. They earned that. They
Yes.
did that. They
Yes.
did that
Mm-hmm.
against the traffic that was saying, nah, we don't want you. Finding any excuse in the book, why not to put this person into the seat and let them
Mm-hmm.
do the thing and lead the way? They didn't ask for permission. They had to go up in there and advocate for that. They had to come up with their
Mm-hmm.
ammunition and they had to come up there and do that. So they earned their spot. Everybody has to earn it, but they had to put in extra effort. They had to put in extra and had to go through so much different crap that most people that are not her had to go do now have to go through. So what I'm saying is
Mm-hmm.
when it's your turn for BTZ, when it's your turn for staff sergeant, when it's your turn for OTS, you are that. You need to walk in there. I am that.
Come on.
Don't even worry about that. Don't ask
Yep.
about my qualifications. I'm in the room.
That's
That's my
right.
qualifications. I wouldn't even be. I wouldn't even be here if I wouldn't qualify. You got to come in there with that level of confidence. And if it's taken as arrogance, that's their problem
Yep.
because you
Mm,
did that. You did all the
mm-hmm.
things to get up in that room. You need to advocate, advocate, advocate. Like that's how you turn it. Your hard work along with your advocacy equals that opportunity. So
Yes.
you get to
Mm,
roll up in there with the utmost confidence or at least competence and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to be in here and I'm ready to do what's being laid out in front of me." So I just wanted to let you know,
mm.
don't ask for nothing. Just roll up in there. I am that.
Yep.
Come on.
Yep. So that brings up the communication piece. I think a lot of us struggle with the words to use. We don't want to sound demanding. How do we communicate our goals without sounding entitled?
You focus on your shared values. So Hype just brought up that awesome point of alignment. Where do your personal goals match the Air Force's goals? And that's how you frame it in a way to advocate for yourself and how the Air Force is going to benefit from that. So
Mm,
don't say those words we talked about, I feel or I want. Be clear, be direct. I want to lead this project. I have the skills to do this. I actually recently applied for the OI and RSD board to be an Air Force ROTC detachment commander. And I had to be clear and direct because I am my own best advocate. So I need
Yep,
to
mm,
clearly communicate to the board that this is what I want. It's not,
I am that.
I feel I'd be a great
Nah, no, no,
candidate.
no. I am that.
No, I am 15 years in.
yep.
I am a grown woman. My desire is to be an Air Force ROTC detachment commander because X, Y, and Z. So they know you're
Mhm.
I like
serious,
that.
you're
Yeah,
passionate. So communication is definitely going to be key.
definitely. Let's speak on transparency. So when we speak about the things that we want and why we want it, how is transparency important when advocating for yourself?
It's important because you're expressing that clarity. And remember, a lot of us, many of us, are not only advocating for ourselves, but we're also advocating for our families. We're advocating for the woman warrior next to us, to our left and our right and behind us. So
Mm-hmm.
again, it's going back to that alignment, making sure that our goals match up and just being clear, because you don't want any misinterpretations when it comes
Mm,
to what you want or what you're advocating for. Again, whether it's a couch in the bathroom, whether
Mhm.
it's
yup.
an updated breastfeeding area in your building, whatever it is, you got to be transparent and you got to be
Mm,
clear so they can't come back and say, well, actually, I thought that it was this, right? Or, I was transparent. I was clear. You know exactly where I
mm,
stand.
mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
so
perfect.
I would say that again, out there are a lot of people out there that don't wish you harm. They do not wish
Mm,
you harm, but they just don't know. There's some things that like women in the military, women in general just take care of, and dudes don't even recognize. So without that advocacy to say, hey, I need this, right? And they might even say, why? You might be taken back by it. But again, we're dudes. We don't know some of these things. So we need you to be able to advocate and bring that as a threat, as a risk to the unit organization, to the unit. Hey,
mm-hmm.
your female audience is going through this. The reason why we're going through this is because of this, and here is the answer that will help resolve these things. You have to
Mm-hmm.
advocate, like Lorraine said, to the left, to the right, and behind you, right? So, like just like somebody in front of you advocated for you, they had to
Mm-hmm.
go through the uncomfortable conversations in order to make sure that you got what you needed today. There's so many things that women got. There's so many battles recently that women got, as far as how they wear their hair and all this. Somebody had to wake up and step up to the power structure and say that we need to change this because this is messing with my hair, it's hurting, it's painful, all these other things. It's
Yup.
your due diligence and your due responsibility to advocate for those things. You think they know, they might not know. So you got to step up and be that person, even if you're an
Mm,
A1C or a freaking general. It doesn't matter because the fact that remains is it's needed. So you can be like in the future, 20 years later, be like, hey, remember that? I advocated for that. I'm the one that brought that up. That went to the idea
mm,
program and that got approved. That's a win
mm-hmm.
for all of us. That's where advocacy comes from. And that's why it's important. Do not be afraid to speak up. You got to be that.
Mm,
There's the only way to get it through.
We're
mm-hmm.
not just your party planners. When the squadron holiday party comes
Yeah.
around, when the
Yeah.
annual picnic
Yup.
comes around, we're not your party planners. They're just going to pass out the sign up sheet for the barbecue. We are also your
Yup.
go getters. We are your problem solvers. We are your innovative thinkers. You know, we can master briefings. We can master that pro dev session. We can lead a team through an exercise too. So, advocacy matters.
I do want to pivot into mentorship because, Lorraine, you mentioned driving the bus. Sometimes you need someone to show you the map. In male dominated fields, it can be hard to find a female mentor. Do we only look for female mentors, or how do we navigate that?
Absolutely not. You got to look for a mentor that looks like you, that doesn't look like you, one that's
Colonel
in your
Mm-hmm.
Gabbard is the
career
building.
field, one that's outside of career field. Mentorship is one of my favorite topics because we do not seek it out enough. We think that it has to be
Mm-hmm.
this formal conversation. Oh, I imagine being at attention in my service dress and, hey, can you be my mentor? Absolutely not. It is
Not
not
how it
that.
works. That's
It is
not how it
just
works.
a casual conversation. Maybe I heard something that you said at a particular briefing, and I approached you afterwards and just wanted to seek your mentorship or bounce some ideas off of you. So no,
Mm.
do not just seek out female mentors, seek out all types of mentors.
And how would I go about approaching someone for mentorship?
Before we approach that, I want to make sure that people understand that you can learn from good and bad leaders. So let's be clear
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
about that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Sure
yeah.
can.
hopefully your mentors are the good leaders, the effective leaders. And
Mhm.
so again, when you see someone who operates the way you want to operate, you can simply approach them. Hey, I admire that well, don't say hey, first of all, but sir, ma'am, I admire how you handled that situation. Can I get some time on your calendar? You know, I was a bold little LT. I wouldn't recommend doing what I did, but as an LT, I applied to be an exec for the 20th Air Force Commander. Now,
Okay.
we all know I was not going to get this job, but I was intentional, I was ambitious, and no, I didn't get the job. But you know what I did get? I got visibility, I got time on his calendar, I got some wisdom. I received some wisdom. So, it's just about being a personable, remembering that they are human as well,
Mhm.
and just approach them. Don't have fear, but have that respect when you do
Mhm.
approach them. Again, after a meeting, I know there are some bases that still do the first Fridays, or if you're attending like an annual award ceremony, those are perfect moments to network and be able to not necessarily receive the mentorship then, but at least touch base with somebody.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, Kay, just going back, dialing back the time when we first met, you already have that energy in you. Everything that
Mhm.
Lorraine has mentioned about the characteristics of that, you already have
Mhm.
that juice in you. So what I'm saying is, when it's time and you're ready to go, you should be able to walk up to anybody using
Hmm.
just being yourself.
Yes.
Yourself, your personality is more than enough for them to attach to you and be like, oh, okay, this person is looking for some guidance or some whatever, and this is the person who I want to guide. She has the energy, she has the advocacy, she's confident, she's competent. Like, let me go
Mhm.
ahead and show her some of that. So just be yourself when that time comes. They don't know that you need the mentorship until you arrive and say, I am looking for this.
Yep.
Again, advocacy. So don't be afraid. Like, you walked into my office all those years ago, you walked in with such great confidence. That's what you need. And that's what you need
Mhm.
to encourage those who are like you. Like, don't just hoard all this information to yourself,
Mhm.
share it. Right? Share with everybody so that they understand, they get the confidence too. Because they're going to ask you, like, hey, how did you do X, Y, and Z?
Mhm.
I just pulled up and this is what I did. This is what
Yep.
I said. So I just want to throw that out there. You got what it takes already. I want you to be able to take that knowledge and be able to share that with others so that you guys can all win. This isn't pie. There's no limit of how much advocacy you can get or how much mentorship you can get. This is something that's
Yeah.
free for everyone. So
Mhm.
help them share it, like, and be that person that advocates that. Does that make sense?
All right, I do have to ask a tough question. Sometimes, despite the competence, despite the communication, we hit a wall. Maybe it's bias, maybe it's harassment, maybe it's just an old school culture that won't budge. How do we advocate then? How do we use, or when do we use formal channels?
I think it's important for us to be realistic when we're facing these type of situations,
Mhm.
and we have to understand that you will meet people who don't think that you belong here, because as much as we hate to acknowledge it, we have to. Bias does exist in the
Mhm.
military, as you
Mhm.
stated.
Let's just go ahead and say it out there. There's some sexist people out there. I'm just gonna be
Absolutely.
real. 100, I'll keep it a
Yup.
buck.
Sexist, racist, all of that.
Mhm. Mhm.
I have faced some moments where people thought I didn't belong at the table or I didn't deserve a certain stratification. And I cannot officially or 100% confidently say it was because I was a female or because of the color of my skin. But I do believe that those lines do get crossed, and we have to use the tools that are provided to us, right? The Equal
Mhm.
Opportunity Office, the IG office, those type of reporting
Mhm.
mechanisms, because we do have to keep people accountable.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, we are a part of an organization in which
Mhm.
none of these biases should exist, but they do.
Mhm.
I feel like some people are afraid to use things such as equal opportunity. I think that some people are scared that it might either nuke their career or change their workplace.
Well, yeah, what's gonna happen when you go to IG or EO or any of those places? It's going to agitate some stuff. It's going to agitate the power structure. It's going to happen. You need to be comfortable with the fact that if you need to go there, you shouldn't even have to go there in the first place.
That's
But
right.
if you got to go
Mm-hmm.
there, there's a reason.
Yep.
So you go there and with the understanding we're about to shake things up. Now, if you got to do your research to make sure you understand what's happening before you go in there, do that. But if at the end of it you still feel you got to go up in there and handle that, then understand that that's going to be, you're going to shake up the power structure. That's what
Mm-hmm.
happens. And that's what you're trying to advocate for. That's what you're trying to say. Something is wrong here. I can't put my finger on it. Here's some evidence. Here's my due
Mm-hmm.
diligence to say that there's something not right here. I can't call it. That's what EO and IG and all that, they put their finger on it and said, that's what this is. So if you're feeling that, you need to get over that. If that's how you feel, got it. Do your research, but get over it. Understand that that's going to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
if there's anything that even smells like somebody is nuking your career, that is literally IG's department. That's literally called retaliation. So again, people are very careful when it comes to these kinds of agencies because they know that anything that smells like nuking their career can come back and hit them. We shouldn't even have to do this, but it's true because there's people with those biases. That's the check.
Mm-hmm.
If these organizations were a check enough, then you actually going is the check to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that is right and make sure these things are fair and unbiased.
Mm-hmm. If you could leave the listeners, especially the women coming up in the ranks right now, with one final thought, what would it be?
You are your own best advocate. And I've said it before. If there is not a seat for you at the table, bring your own table. We are in
Mm.
2026. You have
Mm-hmm.
earned the right to be here. Yes, it is a privilege to wear the uniform. Yes, it is a privilege to serve your country. You also deserve equal respect and an
Mm.
equal seat at the table. Advocate, 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 because you're worth it. Like the Maybelline commercial. I think it's
Gotta love
Maybelline
it.
or CoverGirl. Yeah,
Maybe she's born with it. That's Maybelline.
one of them.
My goodness.
I was a
All
junkie
right.
back then. I was a TV junkie.
Major, going on to Lieutenant Colonel Johnson. I do want to say thank you for sharing your wisdom and time. And for all of you listening and watching, we want to hear from you how you're advocating for yourself in your shop. Drop a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going in the comment section. If you found value in this, make sure that you hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. You have the tools. Now go do the work. Stay safe out there. Stay informed. We'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah.